and sit down.
Welcome to Stu and the Nuts, an online radio show and podcast focused on national security, policy, politics, and selfless service. We're here to give you an honest opinion, a different perspective, and hopefully a few laughs. We do this by not only interviewing guests, but also sharing our own perspectives and asking you, the listener, to interact with us on the show chat room, via our Facebook page, and on Twitter. We would like to thank those who make this show possible and allow us to bring it to you. Our show sponsors, Warrior Media Solutions, BlueHammer.com, Mighty Oaks Warrior Foundation, Graybeard Publishing, and of course, Sheepdog Response. We would also like to recognize some of our favorite nonprofit charities who are doing great things for those who have served this country well. Veterans Outdoors, Mighty Oaks Warrior Foundation, PinUpsForVets.com, and the Lauren F. Bruner USS Arizona Memorial Foundation. To learn more about these nonprofits and how you can donate to their awesome causes, visit our website at www.stuandthenunn.com. PinUpsForVets.com and the Lauren F. Bruner USS Arizona Memorial Foundation. To learn more about these nonprofits and how you can donate to their awesome causes, visit our website at www.stuandthenunn.com. PinUpsForVets.com and the Lauren F. Bruner USS Arizona Memorial Foundation. To learn more about these nonprofits and how you can donate to their awesome causes, visit our website at www.stuandthenunn.com. PinUpsForVets.com and the Lauren F. Bruner USS Arizona Memorial Foundation. To learn more about these nonprofits and how you can donate to their awesome causes, visit our website at www.stuandthenunn.com. PinUpsForVets.com I don't know why. Our listeners are so slow.
What are they telling you?
Well, my greatest listener of all, my mom just told me, "Hey, there's no audio." Yep, you're right, Mom. There's not because I turned it down. Okay, now I hear. Now I know why I hear myself too.
What are they telling you? Can you hear me now?
My greatest listener of all, my mom just told me, "Hey, there's no audio." Yep, you're right, Mom. There's not because I hear myself. I turned it down. Okay, now I hear. Now I know why I hear myself too.
What are they telling you? Can you hear me now?
My greatest
Yeah,
listener of
go
all, my
back
mom
going
just told me,
on.
"Hey, there's no audio." Yep, you're right, Mom. There's not because I hear myself. I turned it down. Okay. Hopefully that's better.
Are we good now?
We're good now. I know why I was hearing myself.
Check.
Yeah. All right, so we had no audio for the first little bit.
And it was so good, too.
My quality control people out there, a.k.a. Mom, a little bit about 10 minutes late, letting me know that. It was because I turned down the audio, and that would also explain why I thought Spreaker wasn't working, because I was looking at Spreaker going, why am I not getting audio?
But we looked damn hot the whole time, though, on video.
They pretty much have no idea what we were saying.
Well, do we have to say it all over again now?
No, I don't think we have to.
You sure?
Yeah. Well, we'll start out. Anyways, wow, this totally threw me for a loop. Hopefully, I guess. Tell me in the chat. Doug, if are we? Do we have now? Okay, we have it now. Now 58 people said we have audio.
Awesome.
Okay, now I see all the don't have audio,
Welcome,
all that
58
stuff. 58
people.
This is what happens when you are doing other things up until 3 minutes before the show.
There you go. There you go.
And you're running about, I don't know how much. I'm going to quit whining. It's only whining. Hey, we're here for you. We have audio now. Let me show beer again. One for the homies. Doug, break up the
Everyone
Texas.
all the way.
There you go.
Yeah.
Mm.
Rangers lead the way. If you didn't hear it the first time.
If you saw us drinking earlier, you didn't need to hear us. You knew what we were saying. Glad that we have audio and that we're good. Yeah. So, anyways, what I was saying earlier, if you didn't hear me, Toby's not with us tonight. He is in Houston, working with his fellow Americans, trying to bail people out. He's down there with the great guys from Veteran Outdoors, and Brad and all those guys down there, Gene, all of them are down there, and they are working to try to bail people out and rescue folks and literally saving lives. As unselfish as they can be, and that's definitely Toby. He wasn't that far away. He booked down there, and he's been there for, I think, since Saturday or Sunday. And it was a little while ago. Doug, he told me, he texted me, he said, "Dude, I'm not gonna be able to make the show tonight." I'm like, totally understandable.
Yeah. Hey, he has a valid excuse. We'll let it slide.
That one we can make work. We can live with that. But that's what an honorable thing. He's, no motivation. He's not getting paid, not doing whatever. But like many other people, they're just stepping in and helping out on this catastrophe that even though there were a lot of warnings on it, stuff, man, nobody could predict it was going to be at this level. Would you agree?
I concur, having been, for the most part, except for a stint in the Army and stuff, been most of my adult life, an adolescent life, an Austin, Central Texas resident. Never seen anything like this before, whether it be here in Central Texas or even on the coast. We've had some hurricanes in the past and some weird storms and gotten a lot of rain, but nothing like what Houston obviously is experiencing with Harvey, and I guess it's still going. I guess it drifted back in the Gulf this afternoon sometime or something and regained hurricane strength, and now it's going to slam into, I guess, northeast Texas up into Louisiana now. So got to be with those people for what's yet to come. So it's still kind of in progress, although hopefully the worst is over. Now we just got to focus on recovery and all that stuff. But we're already, like in Austin, the city's already preparing for hundreds, at least an initial wave of I guess refugees. I don't know what the exact label would be, like the correct label is, but similar to like Katrina.
Evacuees. I don't think they're refugees, right? They're not getting refuge from. I guess they're getting refuge from the rain, but they're not getting.
Yeah, they're getting refuge.
Yeah. I guess it would be
displaced people.
Yes. What I heard, I saw today on the news report that they were bringing planes in. I don't know who or what was. I guess FEMA was. They were bringing planes and flying people out of Corpus Christi, one of the only airports down there. that can fly planes out, and they were flying them straight to Dallas. I don't know where they're taking them in Dallas. I don't know where they're putting them. But
maybe that's like a marshaling point. Maybe from there they'll distribute.
That's the assembly area. The assembly.
ISB.
The ISB. Here, I need to fix your video. I got too much gray on you and too much black. I wanna enlarge in your mug there.
Pardon me? You want to enlarge in my what?
Your video.
You want to enhance my video? Okay.
I want to enhance your video.
Yeah.
I want you need to be enhanced.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel enhanced.
Do you?
Thank you.
All right.
Absolutely.
So what do you got going on? What's going on with Gear for Grunts, man? We got you on it. I'm pimping you out on all the show descriptions.
I appreciate you.
We have Gear for Grunts founder on tonight.
You just mentioned Corpus Christi.
Yep.
My son and I went down to Corpus Christi. Literally, we were there 2 weeks ago for we were representing at the Narcotics Officers of Texas Association conference. So we were pimping out the ramp and the ramp derivatives there, and it was awesome. We had a great time. Did really well down there. The narco guys are an interesting bunch, especially when they're in their undercover mode. With all their bling and tats and like. So it was very interesting. They were very receptive. Again, we did very well there, not just selling stuff, but making a lot of contacts, DEA, FBI, all kinds of people you've heard of before. It's very interesting. But, yeah, and it's just weird we were literally right there in the Omni Hotel on the coast, right where the Lexington is birthed, and it's just weird to think about, well, man, 10 days later, after we left, it was totally different. It was beautiful and calm when we were there, and it was weird. I was just thinking, Troy, like, if there's ever a big storm, I was down there, what do they do with the Lexington? Is that thing even really floating, or is it just sort of sitting in concrete and there's like 3 feet of water just covering that up? I mean, is it even really floating? And what do they do with that thing? It's a 70-plus-year-old ship. I don't know. It's just things going through your mind. But I guess Corpus Christi, actually, to your point, I think escaped kind of the worst of it. It looks like Rockport and places like that got blasted, unfortunately, the most. But yeah, anyway, that was the latest. And as far as Gear for Grunts going, we got some other conferences coming up, some other initiatives. There's always something going on, man. There's always something to do. There's always more to do. But keeping the faith and just having fun doing it. It was great just spending time with Nate, who was with me the whole time. It was awesome. Yeah, it's awesome, dude. Yeah, it's you mentioned Rockport and some of those places. It's been a long time since I lived in Texas, so I don't know all the cities as well anymore. But I mean, what I saw from there, that place caught the brunt of it. Yeah, I mean, I think Corpus Christi did too, even though that is where our president flew in today. And I saw on your Facebook that he did touch down in Austin in the little blue dot. They gave us the traffic warnings, I guess, from like 1:30 to 4 o'clock. 1330 to 1600 hours for your military types. I guess he was on the ground here, so they gave the road warnings out and the traffic, don't go here, don't go there. So Bergstrom Airport's on the southeast side. I don't even quite frankly know where he went while he was here. I would imagine if there's a command center here in Austin, which is the capital of our great state, it's either somewhere downtown or on Camp Mabry, which is the Texas Army National Guard headquarters. Which apparently, I don't know if you know this, Troy, maybe you saw this, but they've activated the entire Texas Army National Guard, all 12,000 of them.
I saw that, yes. The Governor Abbott, it was like yesterday, he mobilized them all.
Every swinging Richard, so they're all...
And they're calling for another 30,000. Pentagon is preparing another 30,000, which means having been in that in that scenario before, I know battalion and companies are scrubbing deployment rosters. Warning orders have come down from NGB to the different states, and they are they're putting out calls of what equipment they need and who can make it and who can deploy. Yeah, it's I guarantee you, whatever states they're talking to right now, or there's a lot of folks in armories trying to figure out when, where, how, and who can go.
To help keep order and prevent looting, they need to buy some ramps. I think that's what they all need to do. So
Yeah,
for their
there's
outload, as they're marshaling, we should issue those out.
Yeah, the ramps are used to hold ammo, which go into weapons, and there's that whole posse comitatus and blah 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 stuff.
You want to intimidate potential looters and malcontents who might want to take advantage of this horrible situation for their own personal gain.
Well, did you hear that? I heard yesterday that the Cajun Navy, which is a volunteer group that birthed out of Katrina, of like an informal kind of militia, to do this kind of thing ever again. They've kind of formed up and charted themselves and everything. They were getting shot at yesterday, and they were trying to steal their boats, as those folks came to Louisiana to rescue people. Today I saw a video of the Cajun Navy with full ARs on chest rigs. So I'm not sure the shooting has continued, or any boat stealing is trying to happen.
You're making my point for me. So it's almost like the Texas version of Dunkirk, type deal.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's pretty awesome. And I don't even, my brother and my mother live in Tomball, so my brother's there. It's like on the northwest side of Houston, and I guess they had like 26.5-ish inches of rain since Friday through, I guess today. It was still raining there today, and apparently they're okay. That's the good news. But they can't really go anywhere because, like I even said, well, hey, you guys need to evac. Do you need to, whatever? Just do what you need to do. You can always come here, blah blah blah. But he said, Dad, they can't even get. The roads are impassable, and like 290 or whatever, kind of the main road.
That's the main road from Austin right down there. Yeah.
Yeah. So at some point, I'm sure it's. Yeah, you were just talking about, the National Guard and other federal assets. I'm sure that not just the traffic, but all the confusion and stuff of people coming out of Houston, and in addition to the water levels. He just said, hey, it's impassable, so don't worry about trying to get here, and we won't worry about trying to leave. We'll just hunker down. But he says they're doing fine. The water was at least receding where he was. Where they are in Tomball, so that's good news. But I don't know about again the rest of Houston proper, downtown and that sort of stuff. And it'll be interesting to hear from whenever we do hear from Toby over the next couple of days or whatever, where he is and the damage he's witnessing.
Yeah. Well, when I was down there a month ago, and when we were hanging out, I went down for a couple of days to visit an old friend of mine down in Spring, right near Tomball, right on the north side of Houston. Mm-hmm. And I've been chatting with him for the last few days, asking how it's going and where they're, what they're up to, because they're in a fairly new subdivision and all that stuff. And he, a couple of days ago, till yesterday, he was like sending me pictures and saying, hey, like Saturday or Sunday, he was going, all of Houston would have to flood before we ever have to worry. We're on high ground. The family's all coming to us. So yesterday I was like, hey, all of Houston's flooding. How you doing? And they were still good. They couldn't get out. Same kind of thing. There's what they got is what they have as far as food, and they were hunkering down. And today I've texted them and haven't heard anything. I don't know, with the dams releasing and levees overflowing and stuff, if it was just too much. But he has a lake behind his house, and it was up 4 feet. 4 feet. So he sent me a picture of he has these steps that go down to his pier that go out to a houseboat, and there's like the steps and a houseboat. The pier's it's underwater; you can't even see it.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, even here on the outskirts of the storm, we had on our very non-scientific, highly scientific rain gauge, which is a ceramic toad holding a test tube with inch markings on it. I think we had like over 6 inches of rain within, I don't know, probably less than 36 hours just here in Austin. And
you have the toad one. I thought you had the blue crystal ball that held the rain, and as it filled up, I thought that's the one you had. I didn't realize the toad.
I think you're confusing that with I think the blue crystal ball. You're going to have to correct me, Troy. You might be more familiar with this culture.
No, I'm not.
I think you're confusing that with some other culture. It might be contain some fluids, but I'm not sure it's rainwater.
Yeah, that's a Steiner Ranch joke for anyone listening. And if you're from the Steiner Ranch area, you know exactly what we're talking about.
Sorry, I apologize in advance for my the behavior, or at least the rumored behavior of my neighborhood.
Yes. Yes, there we go.
Apologize in advance.
Anyways, yeah, so it it is definitely continued, and I keep hearing it's getting worse. Last report I saw was 52 plus inches.
Yeah.
I think, and it was just the best though was this guy. I don't know if you saw it or not. For any of our listeners or viewers that happened to watch this little news channel called Fox News, this guy was on today. He was classic too. He was hold on, I'm sitting trying to look at it. He was they were talking to him. He's like, "Hey, are you good?" And he goes, "Oh, he was where like this dam or this rumored levee broke, and they're in a new housing area, and he had shored it all up, and they used a whole bunch of construction materials from one of the houses being built, bricks, concrete bags, plywood, and they dammed it up and closed it off themselves, like the neighborhood did." And he goes, "I'm not leaving."
Wow.
And he goes, "I got my family out here," and the reporter was like, "You're not leaving?" He's like, "Nope." Really good old Texas boy, had a blaze orange Under Armour hat on with a fishing hook on the side, and he's like, "Nope, I got 3,500 gallons of water. I got enough meals to last 3 months." And he goes, "And I'm armed," and just patted his side. The camera got it, and I don't know. He had I looked like he had a revolver on or something. He goes, "I'm armed," and he kind of looked at the camera and threw his eyebrow up, like calling out to you, America. But it was just, he was so casual for being on national TV, going through his food and water and all that stuff, and it's like, "And I'm armed. I'm not worried about nothing." And he just kind of gave a little nod to the camera. I'm like, this dude is just, he's thug, man. He's not worried about nothing. And they had him back on later. They had him back on later, like an hour later, and probably not. There's not a lot of people to interview, and they had him back on, and he talked to him, and same thing. He was like, and he like grabbed the mic and did a shout out for his company or something. He was waiting for his 15 minutes, and the dude was making it happen. But
that's right. It may never happen again, So
that's right.
But hey, you got, obviously, the bad part, he touched on it, and I don't think he's overly paranoid, but the potential for looters and you mentioned it earlier, just other, there was all kinds of, I don't remember if you remember during Katrina, there was all kinds of crazy stuff. At least we heard here, because we had a fair number of Katrina displacement here coming into here. Ooh. Are we still on?
Yeah. Sorry.
That was weird.
No, I'm calling Toby in now. Toby is joining us. So.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Well, I thought he was. Hold on. Yeah. So.
All right.
Toby will be joining us. So I'm sorry. Keep going, Doug. While you're talking, I'm gonna work on this.
Yeah, we heard crazy stuff about like gang activity. Gangs trying to increase their turf and utilizing the disaster down there as a whatever. It is just trying to seize assets that were being brought in to help people, and so it's just crazy stuff. And I don't know if any of them are true, but crazy like firefights they were having with police and like you were saying, whatever military, either National Guard or federal, that was down there trying to help out. So hopefully nothing like that will happen, or for real this time. But it was some pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, I haven't heard about that. I just heard about the shooting of the Navy and stuff. But hey, I think we have Toby on. Toby, are you there?
Hey, Toby.
Yes, sir.
Hey, welcome,
What's
buddy.
going on, Jeff?
What's up, man?
Oh, just looking forward to some clean socks in about 45 minutes. I've been wet for we've been in the water for about 12 hours. We just got done. And we're heading to our next location to stage for tomorrow. They put a curfew to discourage looting, so we're trying to get to our next, staging area so we can go after it tomorrow.
Okay.
So we were just talking about that. So, Toby, I mean, what for our listeners and viewers, like, why did you go down there? Are you part of a group? Is it just, did you feel it was what you needed to do? I mean, kind of what brought this on?
Well, as everyone knows, like, I'm very, connected with, Veteran Outdoors, and, we have access to a lot of boats, and the access, to small watercraft that we have, and a lot of military guys and law enforcement guys that have special skill sets to help deal with this stuff and shuttle and marshal and do that. We've been able to put a couple of teams together quickly, and then try and go do good things. So one, it's not far from us, and going through a couple of natural disasters myself, there's nothing I'd rather do than help.
Right.
Amen,
So
brother.
it was you guys had the boats, you had the resources, and you just knew it was the right thing to do. Running towards the fire, essentially, but running towards the water, I guess.
Yeah, my partners, Cody and Brad, and so many others have hopped in. We got guys out from Midland, Texas, which is about 7-8 hours away from the Houston area. We got guys from the Austin area coming in. We're marshaling in now. So a lot of the alumni that have gone on trips with Better Than Outdoors are part of this. So it's like really exciting to do it.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, you do hang out with a lot of outdoorsy folks, and you guys do a lot of great things. And let's be honest, man. Those kind of people like yourself and many of us that served in the military are just, selfless service never leaves us, right? It just continues from the day we first raised our hand. So I can't say that I'm surprised. What are you seeing down? What I guess what are you seeing that's surprising you? Is there anything down there that's surprising you, good or bad?
So there's, the National Guard has been doing some great stuff. The law enforcement, Brad just gave me the thumbs down. He was like, I don't know. I think they're limited, in terms of resources currently. But the helicopters have been fantastic. They've been, working hard. At one point in time where we were pulling people, there was 3 birds, within probably a click in each direction of us, pulling people. So it's great seeing that stuff. Law enforcement, the local infrastructure is really kind of stepping up. So seeing like the county constables and stuff like that, seeing the state agencies such as, the fish and game guys that are like well equipped with boats and stuff like that. We also had, we helped launch a couple of federal boats today with DEA as well as La Migra, Border Patrol. So good to see that. Just a few minutes ago, there was a flyover, a formation of Blackhawks with escort. So we're assuming that was the leadership that's in the area that, kind of taken a look. We got a Herc, orbiting above, most likely a retrans for the EOCs. But it's really neat to see it. On one hand, it's also kind of weird because the sun just came out. Now people are out like walking their dogs, like, the worst storm. So
has the rain finally stopped?
I walked my dog on Tuesday.
Did the rain finally take a break and stop? You got some clearing of the clouds?
Yeah, so where we're at, the clouds kind of parted a little bit, and the rain stopped this afternoon. However, that doesn't mean the water's going down. Tonight, the Colorado River is expected to peak at 48 feet, which is the highest it's ever been in history, as well as the Brazos River is also going to peak tonight. And I think they're estimating another 2 or 3 feet that it's coming up. So, far from over, far from out of trouble. We worked the same neighborhood yesterday and today. That one is primarily evacuated. Now we're kind of shifting to the north where the water that's coming downstream is coming in, and we'll be staging in Cypress, Texas tonight, which is a northern suburb, and we'll spend the day here tomorrow.
So
Okay.
how are you being organized on that? Or did you just like report into someone down there and say, hey, we're here? Is there some kind of group or someone that's organizing the volunteers that are just showing up? Because I saw pictures of just trucks and john boats heading that way.
Yeah, no, like that's exactly what went down. The Cajun Navy and the Texas Navy, just people that started showing up, and we're really self-policing. The neighborhood that we were working in today, I guess they thought, we knew what we were doing because the law enforcement, they were like, yeah, those guys, they're in charge. And they just like stopped people from doing stupid stuff. And we marshaled all the boats, we marshaled the volunteers, and then facilitated the evacuation to the rally points, the citizens.
Yeah. Are you facing any threats down there? We've seen some stuff in the news that the Cajun Navy was getting shot up and people were trying to steal boats. Has anyone been foolish enough to make that mistake with you and the guys you're with?
Yeah.
No, that's absolutely true, though. However, like, it's Texas, and everyone's openly carrying legally.
Yep.
And appropriately.
God bless
and,
Texas.
People are more
Great
concerned
state.
with, getting their children to safety than they are messing with us.
Right.
Where we've been. However, certain areas, we got asked to go, there today, and we just didn't feel comfortable. Plus, we still had boats in the water, so we just, we want to keep our cohort together.
Right. How many are there with you? How many folks with you in your group?
So we've been fluctuating, but there's probably 12.
Okay.
And we lost a couple today, but we're gaining, I think, 6 tonight. So, as people are able to get off work and handle their stuff at home, because understand, like, the storm didn't just hit Houston; it actually hit other areas.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you?
So,
I mean,
everyone
hey,
kind of
Toby.
took care of their yeah.
No, I was just going to ask. I mean, just getting there. I mean, what did you guys encounter on the roads getting there and just driving to the Houston area?
So, Brad and I, when we drove down, we just, a lot of trial and error. Go to places where we thought we could get through, and if we did, we did, and if we didn't, we turned around and found an alternate route. Took a little bit longer than normal, but it's all good.
Excellent.
Yeah. Anything I asked to go about it, any surprises? It doesn't sound like there were really any, but anything that kind of just stands out that you'd want our listeners and viewers to know about? Any, moment or event you saw that kind of that maybe the news just can't relate accurately?
You know what? Something I thought was really cool is someone showed up with about 3 burgers. And, well, that might not seem like a big deal.
Well, you were cut out for a second, Toby. What did they show up with?
About 300 McDonald's cheeseburgers.
Oh.
And, man, I tell you what, that might have been the best cheeseburger I ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like little
That's
things
awesome.
like that. People just really helping stuff out. People loaning vehicles. I'm dragging a trailer with 2 wave runners and a john boat, and none of that equipment's mine. And people have trusted us with literally, like $30,000 worth of their, personal equipment, so that we can do this. Like Cody's got another boat that is a shallow water boat to make it easier to work on the streets. Like all this is like borrowed equipment from duck hunters, from, people that, we've done things with Veteran Outdoors. So that's, to me, like the best part. We stopped to get gas and fill up gas tanks and, and gas cans. And at every gas station we've done that, people have, offered to pay for the gas cans, or gave us gas cans and asked us if we could carry it. So we've been able to like operate the boats and everything nonstop, as a result of like people's generosity. And I've like, tried encouraging them, like, hey, the American Red Cross, there's all these things like, like that. And, people in a lot of cases, they're like, hey, look, we see that you're doing something. We see something being done, this is how we can truly contribute. It's not about a tax thing. It's about, doing something good for their neighbor.
Right.
And I tell you, I did hurricane relief with the National Guard in Florida. And, that a tremendous unit, great service. Love the Florida National Guard. Great group of guys. The citizens of Texas have really stepped up. And, seeing all these boats and, the law enforcement, they're not doing the heavy lifting. The citizenry is doing the heavy lifting. The lion's share of the rescue operations are being done by Joe Bob and his John boat. Like,
yep.
So that's, if I could relay anything, I'd like that to be relayed.
Amen.
But hey guys, I got to coordinate here with
this
next group.
Absolutely, Toby. Real quick, anyway, or if our people want to help, anything you recommend? Any place they could donate or help out that you've seen could really use it?
Yeah, and what to donate to?
I would say like whatever is your passion. If your passion's animals, like look at the shelters that are having to deal with animals. If your passion's children, like the hospitals, a couple of the hospitals are underwater, so they have to evacuate and do that. If your passion's children, look at children's hospitals in the surrounding Texas areas that have like taken these children in. If your passion's, like veterans and stuff, Veteran Outdoors, like help pay our gas bill. If your passion's, the American Red Cross and, stuff like that, the Salvation Army, there's a lot of people trying to do good stuff. Like this is a major event. It's a major event. I know like things like Sandy are really sexy because, it happens in a big city that people, know about globally. I know Houston's a big city, but it's just in Texas, right? But this is a major event.
Yeah.
So,
well, fourth largest city in our country, dude.
Yep,
so
right.
it's no laughing matter. No small potatoes. So.
No,
hey.
not at all. What I meant isn't that it's size. I mean that it's international notoriety.
Right.
So like, it's a major event, and anything y'all promote, do it to your passion because there's a need for everything.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Well, thank you, Toby, so much for taking some of your time. Man, hope you get some dry socks and get some water and take some Motrin and
just like Army stuff, man.
Stay
God
safe
bless,
out there,
Toby.
brother.
all right. Hopefully we're gonna take a knee here in a little bit.
There you go.
Maybe even drink a beer if we can find some.
Well, I'm drinking one for you, and
yeah, here's
Doug
to you
is
guys.
drinking some
God bless you.
Texas bourbon.
All right, boys.
All right,
Talk
buddy.
to you soon.
Talk to you later.
Hey, God bless, Toby.
All right, God bless everybody.
All right, have a good one, bud.
So I was sitting here, Troy, thinking maybe we could set up like a GoFundMe site for Veteran Outdoors relief effort or something. We can figure that out offline or something and stand something up because it's going to be going. This is going to be ongoing. This isn't going to be something that's gonna. It might fade from the news, but given the size of the devastation and whatnot, it's going to go on for weeks and months.
Right.
I mean, so
yeah, I
it's gonna be an ongoing effort.
I wasn't sure.
And then it might change what they need. The needs will change as time goes on. So
right. Yeah, I wasn't sure if they were because I know Veteran Outdoors does a lot of stuff. If they were collecting just for that stuff, but like it says, VO themselves are the ones that stepped up and did this. I mean, they are definitely
it's awesome.
A great one to check out.
They deserve as much. They're taking their time. The least we can do is try to support them, materially as well as spiritually. So it's something we can definitely coordinate and see what we can do, whether it's that or something else.
Yeah. So, anyways, that was a great. And Toby was. Oh my Lord, my My critic is hitting me up in text message. I know, I'm fixing Doug's video. I'm like,
what's wrong with my video? Is it too light?
No. When because I connected both you and Toby on Skype. When Toby connects in, it shrinks your video, and then when he leaves, it expands your video, so your head gets all big. I've got to redo. I got to do all that in real time.
Are you saying my head is too big?
No, not at all. You do have quite a forehead there. It's almost a 5 head. But anyways, I have to fix all that in real time, and everybody sees it. So sorry for our viewers that see it. I'm on it.
She just loves you, Troy.
She does.
She's just that's how she's just helping you out, man.
After the audio thing at the start of the show, she wanted to make up for it. So yeah, anyways, that was Toby Nunn. For those just tuning in, we were listening. Toby called in, who of course is one of the regular hosts of the show with me. Doug is almost becoming a regular host. But Toby is in Houston. He's in with the nonprofit. He works extensively with Veteran Outdoors, and they are down there, as he talked about, with people have loaned them boats and jet skis, and they are out there just helping bail people out. And Doug, it wasn't surprising when he talked about how the law enforcement is like, hey, go talk to those guys, they got it, because I'm sure they were running it like a military operation, right?
And it's great too, because hopefully with the whole sort of, like we were talking earlier, sort of Dunkirk, evacuation civilian effort, if you will, it frees up, whether it's law enforcement or other rescue EMS type assets, to really hopefully allows them to prioritize better so they can focus on the real serious stuff. There's always, as what military priority work, what do we got to do first? And
right.
What do we got to focus on? What's the priority? So I hopefully, it's sort of it's almost like a cascade effect, if you will, of them helping, and it's sort of, it helps out some of the other thing, that most people wouldn't consider. So, I think it's awesome on its face value, but it's awesome for its sort of indirect value that it's providing. So
right, yeah. No, it's definitely it's good to hear from him and get that firsthand. Even though the press, and this kind of segues into my next topic, the press has been, at least the coverage I've watched, has been really good. They've stayed on this nonstop, and it they have people out there, reporters putting themselves in harm's way. I saw the other day a news station down there was like flooding during the storm was hitting, and they had to move to the second floor and stuff. But one thing that's kind of stood out to me, I don't know what your thoughts on this, but it's been kind of nice that the news is covering real news, as sad as it may be.
Right.
We've heard nothing about all the essentially attack Trump from every angle kind of news coverage, and it doesn't matter if you like Trump or don't like Trump. I know many people that are not fans of Trump, that did not vote for him as president, but even they are like sick and tired of the guy can't freaking pee wrong without being attacked.
Yeah.
And even up until this storm, when he signed a federal emergency declaration on Friday, well before the storm hitting, because now they all love to compare everything to Katrina, right? When President Obama had storms that hit, it was like, oh, this is going to be his Katrina. Everything is about Katrina. And I'm sure President Trump learned from that, and he leaned forward in the foxhole, as we say, and he signed some stuff, freeing up money as soon as he could. They still, on Friday, Salon, the Washington Post, I think, some of the very left media sites were already attacking him. The Huffington Post saying he already has failed, like he failed the test. It's like the storm has not even made landfall yet.
Right.
It was Friday during the day. It hit about 9:30 that night, and they're like, he's already failed on as a president responding to a natural disaster. It's like, wow, man. I mean, even friends I know, like, say, that are very left or even middle left or whatever, or just aren't right, I guess, and leaning to the right.
Yeah.
Which makes them not right. Anyways, no, just not leaning to the right. Or like, it just get over. I mean, come on, wishing that he doesn't succeed as a president is like wishing that your pilot doesn't do well when you're on the flight. I mean,
right.
We got little fat boy over in North Korea there, little chunky monkey, angry at the world, shooting a missile over another country,
over a sovereign nation's airspace,
and an ally, a very close ally of ours, where they had to issue emergency warnings at 6 in the morning, telling their people to take cover. Right.
And Yeah, I bet the older people who remember World War II, they're probably having like weird
PTSD.
flashbacks to B-29 raids
Yeah,
in
they're probably
1945 and stuff. But besides that, I'm like, holy cow, man! I'm like, I cannot believe that we let that missile get off the pad, or at least once it reached some sort of predictable trajectory or whatever. Man, why didn't it just? I can't. I guess I can't believe they're letting that thing fly over Japan.
Well, I mean, they watch it launch, right? There's no doubt we were watching it. They watched it launch, and then, you know, when it launched, I got an immediate news alert, and I was like, they just launched. But then it was a while later for like, oh, it actually flew over a country, because they don't know if it's going to go up and straight down.
Yeah.
It's going to fall short.
But
the amazing thing is, it flew over and then broke apart. It could have easily have broken apart over the country of Japan, right?
Absolutely.
Which might as well be an attack on another country. So wishing that the president doesn't do, you know, if you wish the president doesn't succeed in repealing Obamacare, if you wish he, you know, whatever, changes his mind on the Paris Accord and the environment stuff, okay, great. But to wish that he fails at everything doesn't succeed is so asinine and so far with your head up your fourth point of contact. I can't even comprehend how you put one foot in front of another, because, I mean, the guy could you know, have some bravado and flip out and say, nuke that guy? Could he not do anything? I mean, it's just like, you want, our country is going to succeed for a lot of reasons, but a big reason is going to be the success or no success of our president, who is the leader of the biggest, best country in the free world. So you don't want him, you want him to do well. I didn't vote for President Obama, but I wanted him to do well. Even in the second thing, I'm like, man, I hope he changes. I hope maybe he turns around now that he got a second time in office, and maybe, but you know, and there was a couple things he did. There were some things I applauded him on. There was not a lot, but there were definitely a few things that I think he did, you know, he did well. I didn't hate every single thing he did, but you know, there was a lot of it I didn't like. Same thing with President Clinton. There were some things that President Clinton did well that I think he did well, and I applauded him for it. But, you know, there's not a lot that he did well. I know you were a big fan of his, so I don't want me to
big fan.
Bad.
Yeah, if memory serves, I think I resigned my commission when he was second.
That wasn't a cause, was it?
That's a whole nother show, man.
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't want to go down that road.
Why Doug resigned his commission? It's a 2-hour special on Tuesday night.
It's a 2-hour special.
Yeah,
dude, it took 3 years to decide, man. That's a whole other issue. Should I stay or should I go? It was like the Clash song.
Just like the Clash,
like that.
Yeah,
3 years.
So for those that are just tuning in or have tuned in, you are watching Stu and the Nunn Show. We've changed it from Stu and the Nunn Radio because, well, we really don't do radio much. We don't do audio. We do have Spreaker, and I think it's still running. Is it still running? Yeah, we do. We are doing Spreaker, and that's audio only. But we are now here on Facebook Live, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch TV. You're watching us right now. You could be watching us any of those four because we broadcast simultaneously across all of those.
Seamlessly.
So if you're not
seamlessly
simultaneously, if you are not on those, if you're a person that doesn't like Facebook, maybe you're watching this with a friend, or you have a friend that is not on Facebook, point them to our YouTube channel. You can get to all those on our website, stewandthenunn.com. That commercial is brought to you by me.
Man, you know, I love it, man. It sounds like some sort of a commo plan. You got redundant commo.
We have redundant comms.
And you're layered, and then I can't wait to, you know, I can't wait for the Meiji report to come out when we're done. I want to hear. We're gonna have to go through that.
Dude, there are so many people. There are people in the Army.
And interference we've experienced.
There are people in the Army right now that have no idea what Meiji stands for.
They have no idea what I know. If they sucked me back in the Army and I start, hey, where's the Meiji report? They go, what?
Hey, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. If you went back in the Army and you asked what the medal was, you may get blank stares.
Ooh, mission essential task list.
Yes, and I thought that was a fixation of the Army, like the NCO, but apparently that has not been a thing in a while. But I don't know. Anyways, yeah. Really? So yeah. So anyways, I want to kind of get back on this news thing for a second. So you know, sure. we haven't. You're not hearing all this stuff. You're not hearing about Antifa. You're not hearing about statues. You're not hearing, you know, but this is Troy's opinion. This is our show, and I can give it. My opinion is because none of that crap really matters, and it hasn't mattered this whole time. The media wants to make you think it matters. They tell you it matters. They put it in front of people, but I don't know, Doug. In my opinion, it doesn't. This is what matters. There's
It doesn't affect your day-to-day. You know, I think the better question. I thought about this, Troy. You know, man, I don't know. The interesting question is, why did the North / the United States of America, or the blue, whatever you want to call them, during at the end of the Civil War, they emerged the victors. It's amazing to me that just divorce yourself emotionally, whatever you feel like, but it's incorrect. And I'm gonna try to answer my own question, but I'll see what you think. Why do they permit like southern states to have remnants of Confederate symbology on state flags? Newly reconstituted, or whatever you want to call it, pulled in after rebellion. Okay, now you're back and you're part of the United States again. Why did we name posts in the South after Confederate generals?
Yeah,
it's very, and I'm like, was the North too liberal?
Well,
after the Civil War. I mean, I'm just asking questions because it just kind of, it's amazing. You look at any other country's Civil War, it didn't go too well for those who lost at all.
No,
I mean,
and I was talking to some friends the other night, some neighbors. I was down at an event at a neighbor's house, and we were talking about it. And my neighbor wanted to just have a few discussions with some of his family, who's probably a little bit more on the left. And he said, "I want to know what you think about this." He goes, "I value your opinion. What do you think about this stuff and the statues and all that stuff?" And I was like, you know what? When World War II ended, they left up Auschwitz and they left up Dachau, and I've been to Dachau, and the Germans left it up not because they idolized what they did in those places, not because they really still felt compassion or a kinship with the Nazis. They left those sites up and made them museums to show and remind the world how bad it was, and to remind everyone never to let that happen again. Right?
Yeah.
The intestinal fortitude of the Germans to sit there and say, we were so wrong. We are keeping these sites up that are, I mean, and Doug, I don't know if you've ever been there, but dude, it takes your breath away. I mean, it just thinking back and remember the what I saw and the things I touched and stuff, to know the people that died in the room, the place I was standing, and how they died. It is such a sobering experience.
Yeah, and to your point, isn't that why didn't Eisenhower say, "Hey, we're gonna make the Germans who lived around those things. They took them on a tour of it, because and they filmed it all because he said someday someone's gonna say, deny this ever happened.
Right.
They're gonna say, oh yeah, this is all trumped up, if I may use that word.
Yes.
This is all fake. This was all some fake news or some plot to do something." And to your point about the Civil War, I mean, if you think about it, think about how savage that was.
Right.
I mean, we lost more troops in that war than any other war. It's just
because every troop that died was an American. Right?
Exactly.
All
Americans
all
literally
the wars,
savaging each other, and they're not in some far-flung third world, 8 time zones away or more place. It's like Pennsylvania, it's Virginia.
They were literally brother against brother, right?
It's
they were
just
all
unbelievable how horrible that was for those, and all the decades leading up to that. And I don't know. It's just, and it's just it's a lack of appreciation for the sacrifice that went on. That the aftermath of that, of settling that issue, or the associated issues,
right?
With the Confederates.
In the conversation, in the conversation I had the other night, they were saying, "What do you think about the flag, and what does that mean to you?" and all stuff. I'm like, "It's a battle flag." I said, "It's not a Confederate flag of the the Confederate States. It was a."
It's right. It's not.
It was a battle flag. They just kind of picked it. It was one of many battle flags, and like you said, Georgia, Mississippi, I think, several other states had remnants of that still to just years ago, if not still today. Of that flag or representation of it in their nation states flags. The flag doesn't represent. There's not a picture of a black slave being beat. There's not a picture of him being sold in an auction block or nothing like that.
Yeah.
There's nothing that represents. It represents the South. And when people, and I know I've seen so many arguments on this because, of course, with all this in the news, there's no shortage of experts on Facebook, many of which who probably barely paid attention in history, much less took it. That they want to say, oh, it's all because of slavery, or it's not all because of slavery. Look, it was because of states' rights, number one. Right, it was, and it's ironic. The states succeeded And Lincoln, did you know, Doug, if you probably know this, you're a student of history. The term United States of America never came about until after the Civil War. There was no concept.
Yeah, there's that whole notion of I'm from, I'm a New York. Would say that before they say I'm an American or I'm a Georgia,
right.
whatever. It was always like, I'm a Texan,
right.
who happens to live in the United States of America. It wasn't flip flop like it is now. So
right.
Yes, that you could say that was almost the birth of the nation state, like sort of formally, sort of coming to reality of the United States of America after that war, because everyone was very much more rural, very much more sort of regional in their thinking.
Right. And,
so for a lot of reasons too. Transportation was hard back then, and most people didn't. You couldn't travel very far. And there's a whole host of reasons why I think it was that way, besides just tradition or whatever. But getting back to my question, I think the reason why the North let that happen, and why we have Fort Hood and Fort Bragg and Fort AP Hill or whatever, is because the North. I'm sure there were some Northerners that burn the place down, man. We shouldn't even bring them back into states. We should line them all up and shoot them. And I'm sure there was every conversation going, every extreme. Somehow they met in the middle, and they go, well, we should. Are we gonna make them feel part of this country again, or we're not? So I think, again, using the word, they were probably liberal in letting, hey, yeah, we'll call this place Fort Bragg, and we'll name this tank the Lee tank or whatever, just to kind of do that, and just to let that part of their that experience kind of sort of honor all that horror. Then I guess I don't know.
Well, I mean, the thing is, what I mentioned earlier was that it was about states' rights, but also the North wasn't innocent. The North had slaves. If you think they didn't, then you truly aren't a student of history. And
yeah.
Let me throw one more fact on you here. As my son says, one more fun fact. White people didn't sell black people, Africans, into slavery. Black Africans sold black Africans into slavery. Right?
Yeah, you gotta dig into history there. Yeah. And then there was so many weird things going on. I mean, I remember there's some colonel from Maryland or something, just real quick, holding, I guess, was it Cemetery Ridge or something, against a couple of Confederate attacks, and he owned slaves.
Yeah,
fighting for the United States of America. It's just these weird.
That's why that was, Doug, because they weren't. It wasn't about slaves.
Maryland
it was
like
about
a quasi border state and stuff. But it's just you're just like, what?
But it was about. But that's because it was about states' rights, right? And Lincoln knew he couldn't let them go. Oh, by the way, what state is trying to succeed now? California. And
Isn't that very interesting?
It's making good. Remember when Obama was in office in Texas? There was, Republic of Texas, and people were saying Texas is going to succeed. It's still in there, right? All that stuff, and a lot of the left was like, let them succeed. Everyone was like, a lot of the left was going, oh, look how backwards Texas are. Look how racist they are. Jade Helm, right? They're all going to cut loose, and we'll send them back to Mexico. All that stuff. Well, now that California is trying to succeed, and I think has made it farther in the process than Texas ever even thought to make it, because Texas was just so much people talking, but California,
it's been a bumper sticker here for decades,
right? But
secede and stuff,
but California is like voting and holding elections and mandates and things like that. It's actually making progress, right? The whole Cal exit thing is making progress. No one's saying anything about that. No one's going about those racist Californians. Oh, they want to leave the United States and all that kind of stuff. You know what I hear? From most people, at least, that let them go then. But you know what? They lose all federal everything. All those federal funds, those highway funds. Kind of like when your little kid threatens to run away, and you're like, okay, you can run away. You take everything you came in this world with. Nothing.
Hey, you know what? They need to learn from history, because I believe it was Sam Houston, one of the architects of the country of Texas. I think he was the biggest advocate of we need to. It'd be great. We want the United States to absorb us as a state, because this whole separate country thing is a little bit more challenging than we thought. It sounds cool on paper, but it's a big deal, and there's a whole lot of heartache that goes with it.
Right.
So why don't we talk to, if we could channel Sam Houston and have him talk to Governor Moonbeam and kind of let him know some of the challenges that are still applicable to becoming your own country. It's hard. So isn't that interesting? So,
yeah, but it's
by
just,
the way, Sam Houston, the city we've been talking about,
right? Exactly.
namesake. So.
Named after him. Yeah, and but like it is just the whole Confederate. I mean, those statues have been there for generation after generation. No one cared about them. Like if you don't want to look at them, don't look at them. Don't go visit them. I mean, I grew up. I grew up in the South.
Your point. Why is here's what I would ask as a history major. Why is history, which has been so blown off, ignored, and history is unimportant, because what happened back then doesn't matter, doesn't affect me. All the stuff I've heard my whole life. Now suddenly history is important.
Right.
From the same people who said it's
backwards and you're looking
crap.
Yeah,
we can't learn anything from those people who lived 100 years ago. They were stupid and they were ignorant.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, they it is trying to erase that though, trying to remove that. I mean, what's next? They're already talking about Stone Mountain and and then people have said, well, okay, well, Washington and Jefferson, all those guys had slaves. Like,
where does it stop?
Where does it stop? Number one. And if you erase it all, how many generations? I mean, imagine if Germany had gotten rid of every sign of what the Nazis did.
Yeah.
How many generations later before the young Germans growing up would be like, what are you talking? Like there would be nothing to base off of, right? If we try to say that slavery never happened, as dark as a mark as it was on this country, it is also like in our own personal lives, bad things that happen in our lives shape us. I was explaining this the other day, Doug. When we go in life, we learn from the good things and the bad things. We learn that, hey, if you do this, you get an ice cream, or you get something good, or if you show up to work every day, you get paid. And if you touch the hot stove, you get burned.
Yeah.
If we forget that the stove is hot, we keep touching it, or we're just going to one day sit up on top of it, right? It's the bad things in life that shape us and steer us, just like leaders we have in our life, right? We look at bad leaders and good leaders. We try to pattern and model ourselves after good leaders and people that we've worked for, or we look as mentors. And we look at the bad leaders that we say, I hope I'm never like that. I hope that my people never look at me that way. If you're in charge of people, we pattern ourselves off the good and bad. That keeps us in the middle and hopefully on the right path. If we try to erase and act like slavery never happened, if we try to say that there was never a thing, and any other dark spot in our history, then at one generation do they just veer off to that angle because they have nothing to base that off of, right? Nothing to steer them back in the right path.
Yeah, but this has been done before. Troy, look at Cambodia under Pol Pot, where they said history begins now.
Yeah.
This is year zero. Everything from reality and based upon whatever and how did that work out? I mean, that's the extreme end of this whole,
if we try to act like 9/11 never happened,
I mean, obviously I'm a history guy. You got to learn from this stuff.
Right. If we try to act like 9/11 never happened, if we don't build those memorials in New York City and in Pennsylvania and DC, if we try to act like we've never been attacked by a radical Islams or something like that, how long does it take where everyone thinks, they're the coolest, nicest people in the world? There's no such thing as a radical.
Right. No, that's right. And because people never really did that. How could anybody be so horrible and mean and
right.
So, sadly, yeah, it's a reality. But yeah, I know. I'm just worried about where spiraling out of control, and then there's this selective enforcement of history, and then other people start getting accused of stuff that they're not, and bearing the brunt, of consequences of that. So it's just. It's potentially some scary stuff, but again, it's been done before.
Yeah, like I said, it's been it's a horrible thing that's been going on the last few days in
yes.
Houston, but it has kind of taken a whole bunch of that BS from out in front of us. Those that watch the news, you're focusing on that. We're seeing, and just like we heard from Toby, great stories. I'm looking at it right now. I mean, they're rescuing people in the deuce and a halves and things like that. You know, we're hearing about, you know, people stepping up and helping out, like Toby and the guys from Veteran Outdoors. You're seeing those kind of stories about the lady in Florida. I mean, terrible story, but what a great ending. Who could not get a hold of her mother in a senior citizen home and turned to Twitter and got someone to go rescue 15, I think it was 15 senior citizens who were had water over their legs.
They were literally in water. Yeah,
yes.
they were sitting.
Right.
And you know
that's the positive of social media. That's the positive people coming
exactly.
together. Right.
I was just gonna say that's the good side of social media. That thank God for it. You know, it's literally saving lives.
Now I want to know where those staff are. I want to know where the staff was. Somebody has to.
Yeah, well, that's a whole. Yeah, so there's going to be a there's going to be a reckoning there, hopefully, because that's just nonsense.
As me and my wife
were
saying,
car, drive the old people to the high ground, and then we'll sort it out later. But
as me and my wife were saying,
you know?
there'll be a come to Jesus after the meeting after that one.
I hope so.
Someone may be going to visit because, I would be, if that was my parent in there, I would be unleashing holy hell on somebody.
You reap what you sow, right? I've read that somewhere.
Yeah,
so.
somewhere. But it's a good book. Yeah, so I mean, it was. So we're gonna get back to it. Like we talked about a second ago, they already started to blame the president before the storm even happened. Today they were ridiculing the first lady, what shoe she was wearing. It's just like you see that, and then you see right now they're rescuing people on the news, and you go, God, when will the media pull their head out of their freaking asses and pay attention and realize what the American people care about? You know. So
it's just, you know, Toby and his crew, real life heroes, and this real life hero stuff going on that we'll never hear about. It's just awesome, and thank God for it. And despite all the challenges we face as a country, as a people, or whatever, it's great to know that, you know, when the rubber meets the road, it's kind of, you know, there's a lot of good coming out of this disaster. So, you know, it's an opportunity to excel, Troy, as they used to say back in the day.
Yeah, so. For sure. No, it was, and you know, when Toby, when all this calms down and he comes back, I know we'll get a good update from him as far as how things went. I'm sure we'll get some more stories, and we'll be looking forward to that. But hey, Doug, I want to thank you so much for joining me. Now, anything you want to cover before we go? Anything you want to mention to our listeners and viewers?
No, I think we covered the important stuff. You know, the focus ought to be on the actual, you know, the real world suffering, you know, going on in Houston, and you know, as unfortunate as that happening anywhere in the world at any time. You know, it's literally here. It's pretty much ground zero, and just, you know, I know it's a cliche, but seriously, thoughts and prayers for all those involved, affected, and all those like Toby at all levels that are trying to bring about some positive, effects to dealing with the situation now, and then hopefully they'll square things away going forward, whether it's, you know, rebuilding and squaring away the infrastructure and stuff, because, you know, a lot of these dams were built 70 years ago. I'm like, what the hell have you guys been doing for the last 70 years?
Oh, I know. I saw today that bridges are starting to collapse. They just can't take the water anymore and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so, you know, there's a whole lot that needs to be done, but hopefully, you know, the actual casualties will be extremely light, and then we can recover a lot faster than whatever the experts or, you know, opinions are on this. So.
Yeah. Well, I think between my personal opinion is between, you know, having essentially a CEO and a builder as president, and the intestinal fortitude of the people of Texas, that we will see some, you know, this to recover quick. But
yeah, amen, brother. Again, it's an opportunity to excel. So hopefully they will at all levels. Yeah. So,
well, thank you again for coming on tonight and filling in while Toby's down there.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me, Troy. Love being here.
And make sure people check out gearforgrunts.com. Check out some of the great stuff that you have. Support your great business. And
thank you.
And check out Veteran Outdoors, where Toby and the group from Veteran Outdoors just picked up and went down to Houston. They're down there, you know, bailing people out. Like Toby said, you know, donate, contribute to your passion, whether it be Red Cross or animal hospitals or children's hospitals or VO to help them pay for gas and you know, get them buying some dry socks. I want to thank everyone for tuning in on this Tuesday night and joining us here on this kind of a hurricane special show as we talk about it. Having Toby call in was phenomenal, and again, Doug, thank you so much, brother.
Hey, thank you. God bless y'all. God bless you, Troy. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure, and I hope everybody has a great rest of your evening and week. God bless.
That's right. Everybody have a good night.
Take care.